It has been an interesting 24 hours.
Yeah.
Just diving right into what we're going to talk about today. It's been an interesting 24 hours. A little bit of a roller coaster of information. And yeah, man, I mean, I got a lot of emotions about this and stuff. I'll just say it, we're going to talk about Cameron Heacock.
Yeah.
There's good news is, he was off the grid for quite a few years. Nobody
Hmm.
could find him, didn't know if he was dead or alive or whatever. And, obviously, American Head Charge is a big inspiration to us. And, we love that band to death. And they've gone through their trials and tribulations and lots of turmoil and bad luck and all sorts of stuff. We've talked about it multiple times, but
Yeah.
it's they found him, which is good news. That's the good news, but the bad news is, man, he's rough,
Yeah.
and yeah, he was interviewed on the Software Underbelly series. I think that's done. Is that through HBO? I
I think
can't
it's just
remember.
YouTube.
Just YouTube.
It's
Okay.
just,
I
yeah.
thought
I
it, I
think it's
thought it
just a
used to
YouTube
be
channel.
on HBO or something like that.
I
Either
could be
way,
wrong. I don't
yeah, I
know
don't
a
I
whole
don't
lot
remember either.
about
I've
it.
seen a whole bunch of those interviews and stuff, and they're so good. It's so raw.
Yeah.
And
This one was definitely raw.
yep.
That's for sure. And
Yeah.
I mean, it was a couple months ago, we did an episode on the War of Art.
Yeah.
And, even then, I couldn't find anything on his whereabouts, what he's
No.
been doing. He completely disappeared.
Yep.
And I mean, when we say he went off grid, he literally went off grid.
Went off. Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, he like last social media stuff that I saw of his, like on Facebook, he had a couple kind of weird, trippy things that he posted, you
Hmm.
know, um, and then he just kind of ghosted. And then I think the latest thing that he did anything social media wise was on Instagram, I believe. And he was like kind of modeling some t-shirt brand or something like that. And
Yeah.
I think he was like invested in it or something and then didn't hear anything from him. And then was that after 2018? I can't remember. And then obviously, I think it was 2018 was when he was arrested.
Hmm.
And then again, even then it was like, oh, well, sucks that he's going through that and everything, but at least we know that
Yeah.
he's alive, because again, he didn't really hear anything from him. And
Yeah.
but man, it's been a long time. It's been a minute. And, here he pops up and like I said, I mean, I always try to find, I'm an optimist. I always trying to find the best of everything. And like I just keep saying, it's like I'm so happy that he's alive, and
Mm.
I just hope that he can get it together and stuff. And
Yeah.
compelling interview. I mean, the head charge fan of me was glued to it.
Sure. Yeah.
It's not to sound selfish, but it would have been great to have that interview on our show. You know what I mean? It's like I had so many questions
Sure.
I would have loved to ask him and stuff. But his recollection of everything is great. I think so. I still think his mind's kind of there. And the guy's experienced so much. It was a very interesting interview. And
Mm.
but it's just hard to see somebody that, for me being a singer and, I've said this multiple times. I mean, he's my favorite new metal singer,
Yeah.
hands down. I mean, I personally think he, in my taste, he was better than Corey and Jester and all the guys, and that are
Yeah.
always held up there and stuff. And very underrated singer, very underrated band. Um, so it was cool when he was getting into kind of those intricate corners of, when he was talking about how him and Chad started the band and he's like, well, you got to sing because I can't sing. And he's like, all right. And he has basically said that, I'd never sung, before out in front of anybody. I only sung in the shower or something like that. So he didn't even really know if he could sing. And then it's like a couple years later, they put out some really good stuff. And it's like, man,
Right.
worked out.
Yeah.
It's like you're
Yeah.
just so happen to be a really good freaking singer and stuff. And so,
Yeah.
and I can relate a little bit to that. I mean, I was in, like, I don't even think it was junior high. I think it was like high school choir and something like that. And just kind of doing it for the grade, whatever.
Sure.
But you learn a little bit of the fundamentals about breathing technique and things of that nature and stuff, um, but excuse me, but yeah, you don't really. go in front of anybody, like that, unless if you're like in front, excuse me, with this big group of people as in a choir. And so to all of a sudden be on a stage in front of all these people and
Yeah.
like all eyes are looking at you and your bandmates, and it's like, holy crap, this is a whole different world. So I can totally relate to where he's coming from. And I've always thought he's been a pretty introverted person as well. And, even when we played with him and stuff,
Hmm.
back in the day, they didn't really him especially didn't really talk much, and
Right.
which is fine. But yeah, so it was just kind of cool to hear the back end stories of something that we always dive into is like the
Right.
behind the scenes of how they got signed and the
Right.
record deals and recording the records and so you could tell he was still proud. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, he could have easily went on and on about his drug use or whatever, but he went on about something that he had pride in, and I thought that was great of him to do that. And but again, it's you see that shell and you see the history and what he's talking about, and it's cool, but it's also like, man, it was rough, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. He made mention, more than once that, he wanted to continue making music and, that there was so much more of it,
Yep.
inside of him that he wanted to get out. So, and I think that that was kind of the tone for, I mean, it almost wasn't even an interview. I think the guy maybe asked like 3 or 4
Yeah,
questions
and
in
like right at the
45,
end,
50 minutes. Yeah.
yeah, he just
Um,
basically talked for like 40 minutes
mhm.
nonstop.
And he had to be prompted to talk about the drug use
Right.
that he didn't
Yeah.
really offer up. But I mean, he is using some pretty gnarly
Yeah.
stuff, fentanyl, heroin,
Fentanyl. Yeah.
like these are, you know,
Well, and
pretty
that's what
pretty
was,
heavy. So,
yeah. And again, you're going to hear a lot of spoiler alerts, but I don't care.
yeah,
It's like,
I mean,
we're here to talk about this,
I
and
don't and I don't think anything was shocking that he said. I think we
no,
all kind of anticipated that he was going to be using, he was going to likely be homeless.
right.
Um, and that all came to be
Yeah.
true. The thing that was shocking to me was how bad he looked.
Yeah.
He looked
Yeah.
really rough. He was very rigid and very frail
Yeah.
looking. Lost a lot of weight.
Right.
Um, and
Lost a finger.
mhm. Did he
That was,
really?
yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
His
I don't
right
know.
hand, he only had 3 fingers and a thumb.
Wow,
Yeah,
yeah,
dude.
I didn't
Yeah.
notice that.
Yeah. I noticed it right
Wow. Okay.
away. I was like, oh my
Yikes.
gosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was
I
like
didn't.
looking at his tattoos and stuff, because part of you is
Mhm.
going like, that's not really him, is it? But then you're like
Right.
studying the tattoo. It's like kind of like, I don't know if you've ever done this or whatever, but like you look at Guns N' Roses, for example, and you see Axl Rose, like back when they were freaking iron hot, like he had his iconic tattoos, Axl did and does. And so
Yeah.
you see him now, and he's obviously way older and stuff. And he still has those iconic tattoos, and he's still, and it's just weird. It's like almost surreal to see the aging of the body of that man, of Axel
Yeah.
or anybody else for that, like even myself with all my tattoos and stuff. I look back and like, oh, geez, man, it's like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Slow down, time, and but anyway, so it's like I was sitting there watching Cam talk, and he's talking with his hands a little bit, and he's got a vape pen or whatever,
Mm.
and and I'm just like, I remember thinking back then tattoos weren't very prevalent, uh 20 years ago, and I thought it was
Not
really
really.
cool. He had some very sophisticated tattoos, is what I always
Hmm.
thought, especially on his hands. And so I was like, man, that's him, and like that's definitely his arms, and it's definitely and all this other stuff. And it's like, God dang, he's missing a finger, and like that was the hardest part for me when I saw that. I'm
I didn't
like,
even catch it.
yeah, I was like that. I got really emotional when I saw that he was missing a finger, and I was like, well, maybe he's
Yeah.
always missing a finger. So I started going through old photos and stuff. I'm like, no, he definitely had 10, and
Yeah.
and like that was really emotionally hard for me because I was like, this guy has been through it, you
Yeah.
know. It's
And
just,
I know we're giving a lot of spoilers, but
yep,
everybody should go watch it, I think.
yes,
And there's a lot of people on social media now, yesterday and today, because I think it just came out over the weekend. And a lot of people on social media, saying how can we help him,
Yeah.
you know? And if you read the comments under the video, it's a lot of people like he tells this story about being at his friend's house and his dad comes over to try and find him. That the his friend comments in the comment section like they're just heartbreaking
Yeah.
to read the comments on this video. And it's everybody saying come back to Minneapolis,
Yeah.
we'll do this, we'll do that. And it's like the outpouring of you know, of people wanting to
Yeah.
see him get
Everybody's
better
ready. Yeah.
is
Everybody
just
wants to help him, you
yeah.
know?
And it's like, well, what do you do? I mean, he's essentially I'm not super familiar with the Skid Row area, but
Right.
I guess that's where they found him.
Yeah. 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 And
So
he, I mean, that's kind of the tough thing about it is like he ultimately said, he was like, I've been sober for long periods of time before, but in those periods of time, it was like the darkness was right there. And it's
mm,
like he knew almost like I'm always going to go back. It chases me everywhere I go. And what was
yeah.
really, really interesting, I don't know if he caught this, was that like almost 5 minutes in, like the very beginning, he said that like when he was young and he'd see these bands, who were struggling with drug addiction and everything, he almost romanticized it.
Mm,
And it's like, dude, that's that's dark.
right.
That you didn't see it as, oh man, that could never happen to me, or but you saw it as almost like this is my future. I mean,
Yeah.
that's some demons inside right there, right, waiting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was tough when I heard that. I was like, dang. But then again, like later on, like I was talking about, like he said, like he'd sober up and he just kind of see that it was like it's right there. I'm gonna fall back into it,
Hmm.
and like ultimately what he was saying at the end was he's just like it's not like he was saying I'm not ready to clean up or whatever. He was just basically just saying like there's no point in it. This is my life. It was
Hmm.
like he didn't want to. And that's the biggest
Right.
thing when it comes to anything with addiction. The person has to want to. You can intervene all you want.
Hmm.
If that person deep down is not saying to themselves, I'm ready to give this up for good,
Hmm.
it's never going to do any good. And the one
Right.
glimmer of hope that I saw, and I don't even know if it could be enough to get him out of that, was he said that he wanted to be a dad, and that was like the one
Yeah.
thing that he expected of himself was to be a dad and be a good dad, and it didn't happen. And so he was kind of shocked by it that he wasn't a father. But then he was also like, well, I'm a very selfish person and stuff too, so it's probably a good thing. But then he said, I don't know if he caught this, but he said, I wanted to be a dad, and I'm young enough, it could still happen,
Hmm.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so there's a glimmer of hope that might help him. It's like,
Yeah.
again, looking at the video, he looks like he's freaking 80,
Hmm.
and
It's
but
it's rough. It's bad.
yeah, but he's 48. He's a
Hmm.
year older than me,
Yeah.
you know, and that was just like,
Hmm.
but the thing is, could he clean himself up enough and come back and be healthy enough and get married and have a kid? Yeah, he'd be a little bit older and stuff, but it could happen. I mean,
Sure.
Robert De Niro, didn't he just have a kid? You know?
De Niro, Pacino. I
Yeah,
think
Pacino. Or
Pacino's in
maybe
his
that's what it was. That
80s,
was
and I think he just
Pacino.
got his
Yeah,
girlfriend pregnant. Yeah.
right, exactly. So it could happen, but either which way, that was the one thing that caught out of it. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I think if
Yeah.
some professionals could hone in on that and be like, dude, I think deep down you'd like to be a father.
Right. I think
And
there's definitely some issues there that
yeah,
he needs to address and talk through, and
yeah,
um, the mental health side of addiction.
right. Yeah.
He's had
Oh God.
a lot of death around him, and things that he kind of blames himself for, and
Yeah.
but his story to tell. So definitely go watch it. But
Yeah.
um, it was definitely it was a bummer, man. Like,
Yep.
and it just randomly popped up in my feed, and I was like, wait a minute,
Yep.
and I immediately sent it to you.
Yeah.
Um, and like I told you the other day, like I could only watch about 20 minutes of it. I'm like
Yeah.
I can't watch this. But I did go back and watch the rest of it. Um, and yeah, it was rough. It was a rough
Yeah.
watch. And I mean, I appreciate what the filmmaker is doing, you know, kind of because I did kind of surf through his other videos, and he's kind of giving people a glimpse, you know, inside these kinds of things, whether it was, you know, I don't even remember who else he had in there, like actors and, you know,
Sure.
things
Oh,
like
he's
that
just
who,
having regular people off the street, you know.
yeah, you
I
know,
mean, all
biker
sorts of
gang
stuff. Yeah,
guys
yeah.
and
I
things
mean,
like
I think
that.
he even had like the Ku Klux Klan on, which is like, whoa.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's all about bringing insight to what, you know.
yeah.
I mean, it's to me, it's like what he does a good job on is whether you want to be or not, he gives a glimpse of empathy. And
Yeah.
you know, me personally, I'm a sometimes an overly empathetic person.
Sure.
And that's actually why I told you. I was like, dude, I don't know if I can watch it, you know. And I had my wife watch a little bit of it first, you know, because I was just like, man, I don't know if I can do this, you know, because I cared so much about this guy. And but I'm glad I did. I finished it and it was good. You know, I'm glad I did. But either which way, you know, this is what this filmmaker is great at is, you know, so many times, especially like homeless people and stuff, you know, you drive
Mhm.
by and you see, you know, these people struggling. And it's so like, I don't know where it comes from, Dan. It's like so many people are just like, oh man, you bum, get off the street, you know, like get a
Mhm.
job, you know, like so many people have said that for so many years, but you don't know what that person has gone through to put them there, you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's what's so cool about what this guy does.
Yeah.
Is
He's
everybody's got a
giving
story, you know?
Yeah, he's giving people perspective, and that's very important because when you're only relying on your perception,
Yeah.
that's when you're doing the, oh, you know, it's just a bomb, don't worry about it or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, they have a story and they've experienced things that you have no idea about,
Right.
you know, and you know, we tend to when we're relying on perception, we kind
Yeah.
of um, you know, lean into it and, you know, form a stereotype.
Right.
And kind of that's how we interact with those kinds of folks. And it's just, you know, it's too bad. And that's a hard thing to, you know, to kind of focus on mentally and work on, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but it's, yeah, I wish more people would at least consider thinking about it that way
Agreed.
instead
Yeah.
of just relying on perception.
Right, exactly. And that's you made a solid point there. Yeah, because the thing is like there was this guy, so I used to work in the Exarban area of Omaha, which is, you know, pretty good area of town in Omaha. And there's this guy who I would see all the time. You know, he'd be in an Arby's or something like that, eating. He wouldn't have any shoes on and stuff, and he was kind of
Mhm.
dirty, and you could tell he's homeless.
Yeah.
And you know, and every once in a while I'd be driving down the street and I'd see him like he'd be having an argument, like yelling and screaming with himself. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
gosh, this guy, you know, like I guarantee you he's got a medication that slipped off, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
and he's in the throes of it now and doesn't even realize it, you know. And then so then you go, this is he was probably 30, you know, and you know, he might be a vet or something like that. And, you know,
Hmm.
it's like this is somebody's son, you know, that's going through this, and
Yeah.
gosh, it's tough, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a tough thing, you know,
Yeah.
and the part that kind of kills me is that oftentimes people see it as an inconvenience to them.
Hmm.
And it's like,
Yep.
to you,
Right.
consider the massive inconvenience it is to them.
Yeah.
You know
Yep.
what I mean? Do you think they want to be where they are? Of course
Right.
they don't,
Yeah.
you know? And, but anyways, you know,
Yeah.
it's kind of coming back around because I don't want to dwell too much
Yeah.
on all that.
Exactly.
You know, it's a video that y'all should definitely go watch and, um, you know,
For
um,
sure.
just kind of think about it and you know the internet is a wild place. You know, maybe there is a way that you know we all can help him.
I sure hope
um
so.
and you know there's a lot of different new metal accounts, and you know certainly in the comment section on the video, you know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people saying, you know, Cam, I hope you can see this
Yeah.
kind of thing, trying to reach out to him that way. You know, I mean, maybe that's the place where, you know, we all go to kind of brainstorm a
Right.
way to help him out and to kind of get him the help that he needs, and
Yeah.
um, and whatever
Well,
that looks like.
yeah,
You
I
know,
just look at it like, he deserves it. I mean, I think everybody,
yeah,
every human, we're all humans, we all
yeah,
deserve help,
yeah.
But the one thing is, like, I don't know if you saw in the comments that I saw overwhelmingly was how many people were saying, like, you saved my life and
Mm-hmm. Yep.
let me help you, like that was
Yeah.
just over and over and over again. And it's like, and that's the thing, he was a great lyricist and he was very powerful with his, stage presence and his emotions and what he's, how he sung his songs and everything. It's like, I get it. Like I said, he was like my favorite singer.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I get where they're coming from, but it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I just hope he lets somebody help him, and I hope that we can all come
I do too.
together and stuff and show him that his life has value. And but again, let's get to the positive. I mean, that's what I'm
Right.
saying. It's just, and I
Well,
think that's what you're getting at. It's like, yeah, please
yeah.
go watch the episode.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is, it's like, if you're a praying type individual, please pray for him. And
Yeah.
otherwise, if it gets all the way to a fundraiser or something like that, please help out any way that you can, because he deserves it.
Absolutely.
Everybody does.
Absolutely. And I think also that it he put that music out into the world that helped save other people.
Yeah.
And the universe is a wild place, and I think it's time for us to do that for him.
Yeah.
And,
Agreed.
and I think that's how all of this works. And music is, how do I want to say it? Music really, I mean, just within those comments, it can save your life.
Yeah.
And as a musician, definitely,
Yeah.
that's his train of thought, and you can hear that throughout the length of the entire time that he was talking.
Yep.
That was the common denominator. That's what he wants to continue doing, and if there's a way that we can help get him to do that, that's where that journey starts. That's where he starts the work,
Yep.
because
Agreed.
it really does all. And this is just how I feel about it. Music is the foundation for all of that. As an artist and a musician, like, those are the things.
Yep.
That is your release, that is your catharsis, that is how you deal and process emotions, and that's how you deal and process with trauma.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of trauma in his life that he needs to deal with, and music
Yeah.
is probably the only way for him to do that. And when something is actively preventing him from doing that, that's a problem.
Yeah.
you know
Yep.
and again, this is just my opinion, take it for what it's worth, but you know whatever I can do to help him start making music again, I'm certainly willing to do
Yeah.
that. So
Cool.
anyways,
Yeah.
it's
Perfectly
worth a
said.
watch, guys.
Yep.
We'll link it down below and in the description on YouTube, and go check it out. It was a quicker one. It was like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worth it. So
For sure.
yeah.
All right, man. Well, I think
Well,
we'll wrap it up there. And
yeah,
again,
I know it was a bummer, and
yep.
but hey, everybody needs help at some point.
Yep.
With something, and all we can do is put ourselves out there to be available.
Yep.
To help in whatever way. So
Amen, brother. Absolutely. All right, cool.
all right,
All right.
guys.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody.
We'll see you.
All right, good journey.